Here we are, show and go, Friday the 17th of April. It's a bit of a special one today. We haven't had a guest before. Ice has got some commitments. I think he's having a poddy with Pip Edwards from her brand. So we put the call out and we came back and we have been delivered an Australian sporting personality. The Scope himself, mate. Welcome to the show and go.
What's up, baby? Shit. Scope's in the house. Scope special, baby.
Hey, we put the call out, no one answered, so Scope's here.
See, this is where some people get confused. Watching a few of your other episodes, people were hating on Ice because they think he pick on the Scope, but it's actually used to more than anyone else. So
I control the logins of the account.
That up. That's the reason I've come on, just to
the
clear
Todd
that
Greenberg
up.
effect, mate. The boss gets the blame.
Yeah.
That's a good Scope. I got to give you a wrap. You put me on the Scope podcast. You got to give that a wrap. You did your NFL preview of the draft and the free agency this week. Bit of a laugh off the back of it with the old mate having a bit of a crack. I don't think he's Australian when I click.
Yeah.
I think he must be an American.
Oh, isn't he?
I don't know.
Okay.
Well, he doesn't follow the page for starters.
Yeah, he obviously hasn't listened, has he?
Yeah, I think he might have just come across it in the App Store. He must be just looking for a bit of draft preview. Done a bit of a search and he's come across the Scope, and then he's
bloke.
Yeah, he got a bit fatigued listening to it apparently.
Look, I tell you what, there's not really that much to do in these isolation times. So, yeah, you've got to be putting out some decent content and not putting people to sleep. But by what he messaged through, he obviously hasn't listened to it because I was pretty straightforward that. In that podcast that I consider myself just more of a super fan. I'm not an expert. I just, I have a fair few people asking me questions about the NFL and the DMs now with the podcast. And I thought I'd try to answer a few of those for the punters. Scope's punters. They love the Scope.
You did say, I was very proud of you. You did say there's about 25 to 35 blokes out there. They're in the Scope's Punters Club. And if you look at the comments, there's about 30 comments. So they stood up. They stood up and they came to the party. Jackson, did you ever listen? You any controversial calls in that potty?
Oh, there's a few, but no, like me and Scope both big NFL fans. That's kind of how we sort of clicked initially. It was just cool. I've been pushing for him to fucking jump on the mic and talk a bit of rubbish about that for a while. So it was cool to hear. It's kind of the only thing happening right now, like the draft and free agency in terms of sports, not because every other sport's completely on pause. Whereas the NFL can kind of let this play out, so they're dominating the headlines in that sense. And there's so many teams and so many like players that there's never-ending storylines. I think that's why we both love it. And then when Scope starts to talk about the technicalities of it and certain left tackles, like that's where I jump off. But I love that shit. I love learning all the little nuances, and I'm not just trying to follow where Cam Newton goes. Finding out these little smoky draft prospects and who this Isaiah Simmons blokes is and all of that sort of stuff. So. I really enjoyed it, man, as much as I'd never tell him that, but no, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, don't tell me.
Yeah, well, some of your best, what Jackson said about like the detail of it, I always rate that Hayne story that you tell about some of the reasons why, from a defensive end, why he wasn't a right fit for the 49ers. But yeah, that was a mad story. I found that so interesting. And then you go back and you think about watching him in the games and it just makes sense. So your stuff, Scope.
Yeah, well, like I said, with the NFL stuff, and to even elaborate a little bit more on his comments about not watching all the schools and just G'ing up about watching North Dakota State and just about to do my best work on South Dakota State. I sort of just I only get into it around the finals time, like I said on the podcast. So I sort of watch realistically, there's probably like 5 or 6 teams that dominate the draft every year, like Alabama, Clemson, LSU, like everyone knows the schools if they watch it. So you've only got to watch the highlights of a few of those guys to figure out who's probably most likely going to be in the top 10 to 15. And that's all I wanted to do with that draft in particular, is just focus on sort of the top guys. I was never I don't know enough information to go into the second rounds, but if you were to quiz me on most stuff NFL, like I said, with regards to Haynesy I pretty much know 60 to 70% of all the rosters for the NFL. I'd back myself to know
and that's a lot of numbers.
Pretty much the starting lineups for each team. I could name you the starting 22, 11 on attack, 11 on defense for most teams. So, I consider myself a super fan. I know there are some super fans of the Scope, so I'll just keep providing the content for the boys.
That's it. Well, speaking of super fans, we have a Warriors super fan in the house, Jackson Thomas. Bit upset, mate, with some of those your fellow journalists reporting that the Warriors mightn't be required for the 2020 season moving forward. Yeah, it's a bit weird from my perspective. I think the Warriors are a big part of the NRL. It's cool to have that team. New Zealand is effectively Australia, so it's cool to have that aspect of the Warriors in the NRL. They got mad kit, that old vintage Auckland jersey, man, that hits hard. So
Yeah, best.
we got to have them in the comp. That's my view. Jackson, as a super fan, as a Warriors journo, what do you call it? Beat writer? If you're an American, you'd be a beat writer for the Warriors. What are your thoughts, man?
Beat them up. I think it seems bizarre to me. I mean, it's bizarre time, so who knows what's going to happen, but I don't see, since 95, for the best part of 25 years, the Warriors have been part of the comp. It would feel weird just from a rugby league fan point of view, take my Warriors bias out of it if they weren't in there. I thought it was really cool to see Ivan Cleary, who's obviously got ties to the club here, played here, coached here, obviously now with the Panthers, to come out and say that the coaches had met and sort of agreed that the other squads wouldn't train full-time until the Warriors were in Australia and had done their 2 weeks ISO. I thought that was cool. So there's these little parts of the game. I always talks about rugby league being very blue collar, and you'll be able to speak to that scope. But that sort of sense of camaraderie where the teams come together, even in the face of something like this, and there's broadcast deals and all this business money talk going on, and the players and coaches come together and say, the Warriors can't train, we're not going to train either. I think that was real cool. In terms of them coming over on Sunday, which was the plan, if you want to put that May 28th date, that hard date on it, that's just not going to happen. Sorry.
I got most of it. I only lost about 10 seconds. So
I do my best work in the back 10. No, it's all good. Look, in short, I don't think the competition is the competition without the Warriors. I am very biased, but in terms of what they bring from a global standpoint, global being Australasia, it's an Australasian comp. The A-League's not the A-League without the Phoenix. The NBL's not the NBL without the Breakers. I don't think the NRL's the NRL without the Warriors. So if it means pushing the date back past that 28th, so be it, as long as the Warriors are in the comp suite, man.
Yeah. No, 100.
Yeah, I agree, obviously. Like you said, Jackson said, I've got a bit of history with the club. My dad I think he played in the second year in their existence. So it'd be a real shame for, him in particular and our family if the Warriors weren't a part of it. And being a Kiwi with myself, I want to make sure that, we're well represented, not only just for my own, viewing, but for the boys. We've got a couple of good mates over there, Blake Green, Peter Hiku, a few of the boys. I want to see them out there on the field when it kicks off. When you talk about the community stuff, fully agree with that. Everyone is sort of trying to, do their best to, go in the same direction. There's, in times like this, there's always going to be a bit of debate around everything. But like you said, I think that date, May 28th, is probably not going to happen. But, I've been lucky enough, and I won't speak about the details. I've heard Normy, just, as I'm walking by in the kennel. I've heard
it sounds like the Avery today.
I've been speaking to, I've heard him speaking to a few of the boys in their leadership group and whatnot. And, they're very conscious of making sure the Warriors boys are a part of the competition, that's for sure.
It seems a bit bizarre that so much of the talk has been dominated. I get that broadcasting pays the bills, but it seems like a 90-10 split at the moment. All the fucking talk is about Nine and the broadcasting deal, and it's sort of like when the boys are actually going to get on the field, it's kind of been pushed to the back page, so to speak, which just seems bizarre because it seems like you should focus on getting your product on the field and ready to roll, and then if you can start talking shit with all the bigwigs and ties. I mean, it just. The Warriors feel, I know personally, that's a bit backwards, man. And the Warriors, Ivan said it as well, seem a little bit forgotten about in all this. Like there's zero correspondence between them and the NRL. They're trying their hardest to get it. But, I acknowledge that the NRL is a busy place at the moment and Todd's a very busy man. But, the Warriors and the New Zealand government are trying their best to figure this out and get there. They wanted to get there on Sunday. That was the plan and they wanted to do it. But if you can't get a firm answer on, can the families come over or whatever those final hurdles are to jump, if you can't even have the discussion, you're never going to get them there. So, the NRL just needs to prioritise, I don't know how long it takes, a day, 2, 3 days, focus on getting the Warriors there, and then all the other teams will jump on board and start training, and then all of a sudden your product's ready to go. Then you can start talking to the broadcasters. So it seems a little bit backwards to me at the moment. But again, I'm not a businessman. I don't know the inner workings of how it all happens. So
yeah, I'd imagine you'd have to, like you said, being backwards, wait until you confirm dates and know when the comp's actually going to start, because then you can go into the negotiations knowing
what are you negotiating
what you've
now?
missed. Yeah, you won't know. Like, there's no point in negotiating, potential May 28th start if it's not going to start then in May 28th, or it's not going to start in June. It's not going to start 100%. In July. Like, what's the point? What's the point in that? Like, wait till you get to that point, figure out what you've lost, and where you can start getting to the points with funds, and then go from there. But yeah, I don't see the point in getting it done now.
Yeah, 100%. I know it's just weird times, and I don't know, I want to see the boys back playing footy soon, but it'd be nice to have a little bit of sort of like, to me, it just feels like that date's just been thrown out there. I think I've said it before, just because we needed some sort of positivity, and they've set sort of themselves that target. I think I saw Peter V'landys comes out and said it is still 6 weeks away. So a lot can change in 6 weeks, but it can change either way. Like, I think the LA, massive different situation over there in Los Angeles at the moment, but they don't see any live sport or concerts of the sort until 2021. So it could be
Wait, how big a bitch is their mayor or governor or whatever he is? He's such a pussy, man, when it comes to he's like already put a red line through everything. Like, he's such a bitch, man. Just fucking roll with it, boys. See what happens.
See what happens. All right. So we've got a bit of, we had Jordan come out during the week. We've got the documentary. It'll be for everyone. I think it's on ESPN as of Monday. I can't wait to watch it. I've only ever been to America on a crossover, and I did stop off in Chicago, and I got to go out and go over to the United Center and have a look at the statue. And I guess if it's hard to sort of follow an NBA team, we've chatted about it on podcasts before, that it's almost a league where you follow the players and the journey. But if I have to be a fan, I was a huge Space Jam fan as a kid. That was my favorite movie of all time. Would have watched it thousands of times. So I can't wait for this doco. He's come out. I put the quote up on our sports page yesterday saying that he's not sure people are going to understand why he was so intense and why he did the things he did, why he acted the way he acted, and why he said the things he said. I reckon to get to the level where you're an MJ, you are a ruthless competitor, and it shows by the amount of championships they won in that time. Scope, you're a little bit older than me, not much, but did you catch much of the MJ era as a kid?
Yeah, big time. That's when I first started getting into collecting cards, which we'll get into. My dad was a big MJ fan, so I started collecting basketball cards. I was born in '86, and Dad used to collect cards, and he was MJ, so I was a massive Scottie Pippen fan when I was younger. So, we got into it back in those days. Always been pretty stern on the Michael Jordan is better than LeBron debate, which is why I didn't jump on. Like, when I first started getting back into basketball again was 2003 with that draft with LeBron comes out, and everyone started, even as early as then started saying, is this guy going to be the next Michael Jordan or whatever? So that really sort of pissed me off. And I ended up getting on Carmelo Anthony in that draft, which is, I've gone through a lot of pain being a Carmelo fan. But
you Scope specialty.
So look at it. One of the arguments I always find with regards to MJ versus LeBron is, one thing you can't knock LeBron on is, how he's been able to handle the social media world, the exposure that the NBA's got, and it's tenfold compared to what it was back in the day, where with social media and whatnot. And there's a bit of an argument that maybe MJ might not have handled it as well, considering all the stories you hear about him, and like you're alluding to him, like he's alluding to. I guess we're going to see some of those stories now that sort of come out.
Jackson,
I think that. Sorry, I have the LeBron thing. Like, my biggest, I'm on the other side of the fence. I think LeBron's better than MJ, but again, I'm younger. I never saw Michael Jordan, so it's easy for me to say.
How do I just end this Zoom chat? Let me just.
Sorry, bro. Yeah, Anyway, that's neither here nor there. The LeBron thing, the coolest thing for me, or the most admirable thing about LeBron, is exactly what Scope said. How he's handled himself for the better part of 15 years. He's never been in shit, like ever. Imagine being that big, having that sort of profile, having that much coin, mate. Scope would be on the page every day. At that age, like there's no way you couldn't get into some sort of trouble. He's never had so much as a fucking speeding ticket, the bloke. Like, he's just perfect. So anyway, that's neither here nor there. Better player. With regards to Jordan and the quotes, yeah, I mean, it's part of we're quickly learning, whether it's Jordan or Tiger Woods or Kobe, you know, God rest his bloody soul. These intense, at the highest level competitors, and Scope will be able to speak to probably a few footy boys that sort of fit that mold. They rub a lot of people the wrong way. It's because they're willing to they don't care about rubbing salt in the wound if it means getting the job done. And there's so many famous stories, whether it's Jordan coming in and tapping some bloke on the leg saying, you know, lace him up tonight, I'm gonna kill you, and he goes out and drops 60, like, or pushing people until they're thrown up in practice. Like, that's that Mamba mentality that Jordan, Tiger Woods, you know, even Messi's got that same sort of thing about him. A lot of people don't like Messi, teammates that have played with him. Tiger Woods, everyone thought he was a cunt on tour. Like, those super high-level achievers, and same in the business world, whether it's Elon Musk or whatever. You can look at any field in the world, other than vintage clothing. Everyone's good bastards there. But to be the best, you've got to sometimes piss a lot of people off. And I know, just as a journo, some of the footy players you deal with, the best guys to deal with are your Justin Horrors of the world, are you know, the boys who warm the pine. They're always up for a chat. Your Blake Ashfords, those sort of guys.
Locker room guys, mate.
Locker room boys. And some of the big dogs maybe aren't. They're a bit prickly. So, but that's what they have to do to get to that level. So, Scope, I'm sure you've encountered a few of those in your days running around in the footy, mate.
Yeah, well, they reckon Joey was a bit like that. Like, you know, Joey was super intensive. He was a party boy, like all the boys loved him. But fuck, you could see when you're on a different level. And I'll even relate it back to Haynes a bit. I know Haynes used to get very frustrated in games, especially with the scope when he was unlucky enough to have the scope in the centres with him. And I sort of half joking about this, but when you're at that level, like, he can see things unfolding, and it's happening. That's very slow for him, but it's fucking happening a million miles an hour for me. So I'm catching up, or, you know, not just me, but other players are trying. I think
we're about to die, boys. Hang on.
To where his mindset's at, and
he's already there.
And he's there, and then, you know, we've had a couple of blow-ups. I've got a few good Hainesy stories, but yeah, I think that's sort of when you're at your top of your game, you expect everyone to be.
Yeah, so when you're at your top of your game is where we're not a great day for the show and go.
A few moments later.
Joey Johns. Well, I'm the Matty Johns. And
what he's doing? Sorry, boys.
Yeah,
sorry,
me and Jackson were just discussing Kempy's view on Andrew Johns and Matty Johns, and you know, Ice considers himself Joey Johns at YKTR. Well, if I'm the Matty Johns, you know, who's more important to YKTR Sports at the minute? That's a pretty fair argument.
The debate's there, isn't it?
I dropped out in the Hainesy chat. You guys kept going.
Sorry,
yeah, we kept on going. Yeah, we'll bring it back. We'll bring it back to the debate with regards to. I think we're talking about LeBron. The debate between LeBron and MJ. But I think you know, MJ's got more of like a Kobe mentality. If you've seen some of the clips on Kobe where he's like elbowing Sasha Vujacic at training, that I reckon we would have seen more of that with MJ, and I think we will see some of that in some of those clips with what we're talking about with those elite players.
Yeah, I think I caught most of that Hainesy chat. That was good chat. So, to wrap it up for this week's show and go, we are on Friday. So there's a bit of whispers that the kennel is getting an upgrade. Is that true, Scope? The boys upgrading? Yep. The kennel's it's going places. Same suburb, or where's the kennel moving to? Yeah, we're moving up the road. Like I alluded to, we won a bit of fat a couple of weeks ago. Scope's done his best work in the shadows of late. So we've made so much cash, mate. We're able to upgrade. Good. We're going to a 3 to maybe potentially 4 better. No, seriously, we're moving out because Normy's mum comes down and visits from out of state, you know, when all this kicks off again. When I moved in here, he had that spare room for friends and family. So we want just a little bit more space. But we're just not moving around the corner. It'll be good. I'm going to have a look straight after this. Yeah, how good. What a few of your punting stories. We want to hear about those. We keep hearing, you mentioned it then, you've had a couple of good Saturdays on the punt.
Here's the thing,
Yeah,
though. We keep hearing he's going all right, but every time we see him punting, it doesn't quite work out. So
Yeah.
I don't. I'm a bit skeptical of this.
Can you
this
wear a
news going on
GoPro? Can we
sold
fix a
and thumbs
GoPro to you?
Yeah, we might have to go live on. It would get very animated on a Saturday afternoon.
Yeah,
Kennel.
we just need to sit a little camera in the corner. You boys do your thing, and then we just want to watch you punting on horses. It's very like Dave. Yeah, Dave Portnoy, Barstool. He sits there now. He's day trading and he's streaming for 6 hours straight while he's doing it. Scope.
Yeah, good.
The Dave
6
Portnoy
hours of
Australia,
scope.
Oh, mate, I know the punters love the scope, but do they love the scope that much? I'm not too sure.
For 6 hours.
Six hours of
the
scope.
It just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? Shit.
Let's ask Normie how 6 hours of scope goes.
Oh, mate, yeah. No, honestly, we had a bit of a laugh about it. I said, we had a big day. We won $3,000. I hit a couple of things. I hit Gracie Bell, like I said, in the third at Randwick. That paid 20-1, and then I hit Raheen House a couple of, and we've had 100 on each of them, and I hit Raheen House at 16-1 not long after that. So,
last good in the kennel.
Yeah, you remember when Ice tells this story about how the boys connected over that pokey win?
Yeah.
So. I sort of said that to Normie after that weekend. I felt like it really brought us closer together. We were having a laugh about it sitting on the couch. I said, you know what? Like, that really brought us together on the weekend. We sat down. We had a case of beer. We would have polished off about a dozen each. We ordered some pizza. We had a punt. We won some money in the kitty, and then it just keeps going up.
The start of a true love. The relationship. It'll be a movie soon.
It's just getting better and better. So
you'll be starting to
very similar. Oh yeah, who knows? You know, maybe we, we've got YKTR, we've got Vintage Kit. Like, is there a space for one more? I don't know. I've seen a few of the punters that they want some scope merchandise. So we'll look into that.
Yeah, we'll have a look. I'll get some designs going. All right, I reckon that's where we wrap it up, guys. Sorry for the 2 dropouts. I don't know what's doing with. We've never had 2 dropouts. We only had 1 in the history of this show. And Scope, you come on and you're syncing my internet connection. You're that beautiful, Scope, that the high definition camera that you've got going is syncing my internet. So,
mate, they couldn't handle the content.
Too much. It just blew my whole PC. All righty, boys. Thanks for jumping on. Jackson, see you again on Monday.
Yeah, mate. Oh, what did you say? Vintage Kit. Yeah, we're dropping on 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock tonight. 7 o'clock New Zealand time. Cop yourself some heat. Detroit Pistons. Get around it.
Shit, baby.
Let's go. Catch you, boys.
Yeah, boys.